Patel.
Namaste and greetings. I, Anchal Karnani, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav एवं नीति अनुसंधान संस्थान नई दिल्ली, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Talk. Today we are gathered for an in memoriam condolence meeting remembering Ela Bhatt, 1933 to 2022. A pioneer in amplifying the voices of women engaged in self-employment and the unorganized sector. Ela Ramesh Bhatt was an Indian cooperative organizer, activist and Gandhian who founded the Self-Employed Women's Association of India, SEWA, in 1972 and served as its General Secretary from 1972 to 1996. She was the Chancellor of the Gujarat Vidyapeeth from 7th March 2015 to 19th October 2022. A lawyer by training, Bhatt was a part of the international labor, cooperative, women, and microfinance movements and won several national and international awards, including the Raman Magsaysay Award 1977, Right Livelihood Award 1984, for helping home-based producers to organize for their welfare and self-respect, and the Padma Bhushan 1986. We pay our deepest condolences to the enlightened soul. This session is organized by IMPRI, Gender Impact Studies Center, GISC, under its series, The State of Gender Equality, Gender Gaps. The session will be chaired by Professor Vibhuti Patel, visiting distinguished professor at IMPRI and eminent economist and feminist scholar. With the permission of the chair, Professor Vibhuti Patel, I would like to introduce the gathering.
Please introduce the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anchal.
The esteemed panelists for the sessions are Dr. Hasina Kharbhih, founder, Impulse NGO Network and President, WPC, Ms. Nisreen Ebrahim, CEO, Rangoonwala Foundation, India Trust, Mr. Martin Macwan, founder, member, Navsarjan Trust, Ahmedabad, Professor Ghanshyam Shah, renowned political scientist, Dr. Rama Ramaswamy, Associate Professor at Mizoram University, Ms. Parul Sheth, Co-founder and Executive Director, Shaishab, Dr. Roshan Ara, University of Kashmir, Mr. Sandeep Chachra, Executive Director, ActionAid Association, India, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, President, Corporate Affairs and Public Policy, upGrad, Ms. Amarjeet Kaur, General Secretary, All India Trust, Union, Congress. Now, I would like to invite Professor Vibhuti Patel to initiate the session with her opening remarks and proceed further. We look forward to learning from the esteemed gathering. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Achal. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Arjun Kumar, Dr. Simi Mehta, and IMPRI team for putting together this very important and memorable event, remembering Ela Bhatt, a pioneer in amplifying voices of women engaged in self-employment and unorganized sector. I also greet Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Ms. Amarjeet Kaur, Sandeep Chacha, Professor Ghanshyam Shah, Dr. Hasina Kharbhih, Ms. Nisreen Ebrahim, Mr. Martin Macwan, Dr. Rama Ramaswamy, and Parul Sheth, and Dr. Roshan Ara, all of whom have worked or got inspired or were in touch with ElaBhatt very closely. Dear friends and esteemed participants, I see so many known faces in the women's movement and the working class movement as participants. I greet you. All panelists have many stories and vignettes to share in this memorial meeting for Ela Bhatt. I too have, as I first met Ela Bhatt in the early 70s, immediately after the 1969 Gujarat riots, which was a watershed in my life, and it was a life-changing experience for me. And it resulted in a lifelong friendship and camaraderie with Ela Bhatt. But first of all, I would like to share first-hand experience narrated by Neetaben Hardikar of Anandi in Ahmedabad, Anandi, Gujarat, on 3rd November 2022, immediately after cremation of Ela Bhatt. And I quote Neetaben, Today morning at 5 Panchsheel Society, the entire space was peaceful but emotional. Seva Sangathan women paid tribute through prayers and songs and Ame Par Karishu, Gujarati version of Hum Honge Kamyab, we shall overcome. And the Shanti Kamar, the another prayer, upholding the values of peace and non-violence, and Sarvadharma Prarthana, and some verses of Quran Sharif, complete silence, and then singing together. It became very emotional. All my memories of her work and working with her started flooding. Such a peaceful face and frail body clad in flag of India, tricolor, lit up the whole space. We all prayed for peace and power to the gentle and powerful soul who has been firm leader and guide to many, many souls pass on in peace. Quote completed. Indian women's rights movement has lost a visionary and powerful leader of poor and marginalized women workers and self-employed women facing intersectional vulnerabilities in the labor market, factor market, and product markets in the informal sector. Her passing has created an immeasurable void in the democratic spaces that strives for dignity of individual and social cohesion. ElaBhatt always stood by the underserved sections of society in the urban, rural, and tribal areas. ElaBhatt supported the survivors of 1969 communal riots and 1980 anti-reservation riots in which the Dalit families were attacked. I, as a student of MS University and a member of Study and Struggle Alliance in Vadodara, got in touch with ElaBhatt during early 70s when textile mills were closing their doors for workers. Women workers, and massive retrenchment was going on as a result of rationalization, mechanization, and automation in the textile industry. We were working with the textile workers in Vadodara while ElaBhatt was working with Textile Labor Union as a young lawyer. In Ahmedabad. The TLA, as we know, was founded by Gandhiji. Its constitution was written by Mahatma Gandhi, and Ansuya Sarabhai was a mentor of ElaBhatt. ElaBhatt was a committed secular humanist who stood by Dalits, Adivasis, and religious minorities. There are so many stories about how the Self-Employed Women's Association was formed with a democratic discussion and participatory approach and bottom-up approach adopted by ElaBhatt. And she was a friend of women's rights movement and women's studies movement right from 1981 when her house was attacked by because of a stand on reservation by the rioters, and the women's rights movement, robust women's rights movement, I would say, it was immediately after anti-rape movement, and nascent women's studies movement stood by ElaBhatt, and we also invited her to address first plenary of the Indian Women's Studies Association conference, which was organized by SNDT Women's University. After that, till now, ElaBhatt and several office bearers of SEWA have been members of Indian Association for Women's Studies. Shram Shakti report was another landmark in ElaBhatt's career, where women's movement and women's studies scholars, policy makers, and grassroots organizations, they worked in cohesion voluntarily with tremendous commitment so that we could have this mammoth report, which is, I think, unique in the history of Indian working class movement. She was responsible for the labor reforms, for labor standards, social security, social protection of the workers. And it was under her leadership that SEWA played pivotal role in Unorganized Sector Social Security Act 2008, National Rural Livelihood Mission 2011, and Street Vendors Act 2014, and ILO, also Second Labor Commissioner's report, in which rest of the reports were only talking about neoliberalism, but two chapters which stood out, one on informal sector and one on child labor, I think, where SEWA had played a very, very important role. ElaBhatt also made contribution to the Elders, which was formed by Dr. Nelson Mandela, and she took up Girl, Not Bride campaign against the child marriages in Asian and African countries. So her persona was extremely defined by the Gandhian philosophy, and today we have panelists who have worked closely with ElaBhatt or they were inspired by Ela and they also continue her legacy in various parts of India. So first of all, I would like to request Dr. Sanjay Kumar, President of Corporate Affairs and Public Policy, upGrad, to share his memoir with Ela. Over to Dr. Sanjay Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patel, Professor Patel. So, since we have so many panelists to share their experiences and about Ela, so I would like to just stick to my own experiences working with her directly, indirectly within SEWA. So I remember that I had joined SEWA in 1999 when I was a student at JNU. I was doing my MPhil, and I joined SEWA for a few months in Delhi to organize some street vendors and to organize self-help groups. And I remember that we had invited Ela to address the women, potential women SEWA members in Delhi. And there was no SEWA in Delhi at that point of time. And I do remember that the way she spoke and the way she interacted with women and us, like it was one of the factors that she was one of the factors, I would say, that one of the reasons why I decided to continue with SEWA. And I worked with SEWA for 17 years. So I went there for 7 months and I ended up working there for 17 years. And it was her charm, it was her, the whatever you call it, but it was her aura and also the vision for building up SEWA and SEWA movement that attracted me a lot. So she was very simple and she was a true living Gandhian, I would say. And and she always, one thing which we found very very clear in her thoughts, in her writings, in her speeches, in her interactions, that she always did put women at the center and women workers in the center. And that was something that was, I think, one of the reasons why issues of women workers in the informal economy got so much highlighted. So it was her contribution that she started building that up, the visibility factor, that women are invisible in the workforce. And I remember I got inspired so much regarding the visibility that when I was writing my MPhil dissertation, I asked my supervisor, that I was with the South Asia Studies Department, and I asked my supervisor that I want to write a dissertation on women's development in Bangladesh. And he looked at me and laughed at me, saying that, why do you want to write a dissertation on women? Because, generally women write or these are the topics which usually the women researchers take up. And I said that was the main reason, because by then I had joined SEWA, and that was my influence from SEWA, that we all wanted to highlight or make the women's contribution visible. And later on, I taking the visibility as a subject, I also took up one photography project and did a series of photography exhibitions. I did capture myself the photographs. And when Ela visited those exhibitions, 2 exhibitions he visited, one in Ahmedabad, one in Delhi. And the comment she was very, very fine with her words. She also wrote foreword for my book, the photo book, Hands of Hope. And the comment she wrote was like, Bhai Sanjay, we all SEWA sisters are proud of you. So she was so she was so down to earth with her words also, not only her living, but also with her words, that I was always very much fascinated. So, and we all know her contribution. I don't need to go deep into that. But one thing which I found very, very distinct from other NGO leaders or civil society leaders, that during her lifetime, in the very beginning itself, she identified few successors, and she handed over her, positions to all those women. That was very, very credible, because not many people in our country do so. And that was something, that is why SEWA movement continued thereafter, when she was not very active. So she was very visionary. She was truly like passionate about the subject, about the well-being of women workers in the informal economy. She was not about herself. She was about the cause. She was all about women. And I never saw her seeking any media attention, but she was widely covered all over the world. So these were some of her traits. And one thing I always remember, and that gives me a lot of confidence, when we were organizing one event, like we wanted to ask Nitish Kumar in Bihar for a commission to understand the status of women workers in informal economy in Bihar. And Ela was also there, and we had invited Nitish Kumar, and his PA, and he had agreed. His PA was not picking up the phone in the morning, and she came to my room and asked me, and she saw me a little tensed. She asked me, Sanjay bhai, what is the reason why you are so tensed? And I said to her that, 11, it looks like that Nitish Kumar will not come. So because his PA is not picking up the phone. And she was very calm and very coolly, she said that, don't worry, if he comes, it's fine. If he does not come, it will be his loss. Nitish Kumar not only came, but he stayed there for 1.5 hours. It was a very busy day for him. It was 8th March, and he stayed there for 1.5 hours, and he was so happy to see Ela in Bihar. So he accepted everything what we wanted. So that was her charisma, that was her charm. So I'll stop here, and by saying that she inspired millions of women and organizers all over the world, and we will truly miss her very fondly. But it will be very, like, the real tribute would be to continue with her work, with her vision, with her whatever she wanted to do, for the rights of women workers in the country and all over the world. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, for giving us a very important dimension of Ela-Bhatt's personality. Nothing about women without women. So that was the approach she always followed, and how she mentored the younger generation so that organization flourished even after she became very old and was unable to do so much of running around as she did earlier. And her visionary person and her charisma that you talked about is very, very, all of us share the same feelings. Now I request Comrade Amarjeet Kaur, who has been a veteran trade unionist, who has an extremely commitment and the militant career so far as the workers' rights are concerned, to share her experiences of working with her co-traveler, Ela Bhatt. Amarjeet.
Thanks, Professor Vibhuti, that you called me for this particular seminar and the organizers. I thank them also. You see, when we look at Ela Bhatt and her contributions and her interactions with different people, including interactions with me, little bit how she became Ela Bhatt. When she was born, India was thick into the freedom movement, and already martyrs Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru had already inspired with their martyrdom. We had also heard about Chittagong Armory case. She was a child at that time. That was the time Bismil and Ashfaqullah had also been hanged, and several other youngsters. So she was growing as a teens when the freedom movement was really picking up very fast, and people in India knew that India will be free very soon. That whole environment around her must have been a very, very great element in making Ela Bhatt. That's first thing I want to say. And post-independent India, that generation which learned from the freedom movement and was inspired from the freedom movement definitely played very, very positive, constructive role in the building of the nation. And in that process, Ela Bhatt chose the most vulnerable women sections in the labor movement to pick up with, to look at their lives and to do whatever she could do. And I was a student in Delhi University when the committee, Women's Committee on Status of Women, that committee was functioning all over India. And Ela Bhatt, along with Veena Mazumdar and Kumudji and Vidya Bensha, she was actively moving around. Myself, having been active from my student movement days, school days itself, in the university, I was already a student activist and taking keen interest into the women's movement and the trade union movement, even participating into various movements which were happening. So being aware of what is happening all around and being participant as a woman activist, also as a student activist also, I was heading a student organization in Delhi All India Student Federation at that time, during that period when she was working in that committee. So we students were looking forward to what will be the outcome of that committee. And we got a chance also to get interacted with her on how we at the students level find discrimination going on in the colleges and in the universities and all. So that was my first introduction, and then later on several times I could be with her in various joint movements when we were talking about commission for women to be set up at the national level, state level commissions be set up, all laws should get through the women commissions. There were various stages, and in all those stages Ela Bhatt was always active, and we could see the next generation of her getting guidance from her. And the result was that when at international level, there was talk of home-based workers looking at their life. That was the time a very important role was played by SEWA along with other central trade unions. I remember I was National Secretary of AITUC, and our General Secretary at that time was Mahendra ji. And KL Mahendraji and Ela Bhatt approached him and said that we all have to work together and see to it that Indian government takes a stand in favor of our home-based women workers. And there was a change of the government in '96. And it so happened that we could go to Minister AITUC along with the SEWA friends. We could go to the minister who was immediately appointed, and he was to lead the delegation to ILO. And before that, several of the activities were done by various trade unions, and in some cases SEWA taking the lead in guidance from LRG, and ultimately that convention on home-based could be adopted in ILO. And that was a dream that that convention must be ratified in India. When I am paying my tributes to her, I definitely wish that the trade union movement must pick up the issue if we want to get justice to those who are piece rate workers and home-based workers. This will be the real tribute to her. Her contribution was great in the sense that when the Committee on Status of Women came out with the report, everybody was keenly looking at what will happen, the women's movement as well as the trade union movement, because that triggered several of the steps to be taken after that committee report came. It naturally, the discussion began around women studies centers should be set up in the campuses. That was the study about. Then the trade unions were fighting for Equal Remuneration Act. That also picked up further. 1975 had been declared as the International Year of Women. So we as student leaders were very much impressed with that, and we were keen what will happen and all. We wanted to do all that. So I must say that her work and her keen interest, ultimately her colleagues succeeded in setting up sub-women studies center, like Veena Majumdar took initiative in setting up CWDS, and later on Kumudji also worked, and Ela ji always supported such efforts. Then several of the universities later on developed women studies centers. So this was some courses were introduced, some task was given to the universities about gender studies. So it was a triggering effect of that kind of a report, very well written report, and so much hard work was done by traveling all over India. And Ilaji was really a person who will go deep to the masses. It influenced her also in a big way, and it influenced the women's movement and the trade union movement, the work which they did it. So in 80s, we find all these movement for women commissions and the center, state level, justice to women at all level. All that had begun 80s onwards. And then we find in 96, this convention on home-based worker, and then later on the movement picking up for justice to these women. As because we all are to speak in a limited time because of so many speakers to pay homage to her, I must say my experience in having interaction with her, meeting with her, talking to her, discussing various issues and the problems and the agitations to be taken up. When I went to Gujarat as a women leader, because I headed National Federation of Indian Women in Delhi for 7 years. Then I was also National Secretary of NFIW, National Federation of Indian Women. Then I was also its National General Secretary. So in that capacity, I met Ela ji whenever I visited Gujarat or whenever she was in Delhi. And I had many opportunities to meet her as a trade union leader. I was working before 94 at Delhi level, but in 94, I became National Secretary of ATUC. So that was the time I could travel all over India on women's issues and all. And that's how my interaction with her and participation in all those events which were organized to mobilize and to do advocacy with Indian government, with the bureaucracy, with the trade unions, with the social groups for this home-based workers convention. So she was, I will never see her tense. She was always having a smile. Now, if you look at her face, which you are using as a backdrop for this seminar, there is a very lucid smile on her face. So that's true what Sanjay was saying, that she will take the things very coolly, but she will give a thinking, and she will be firm on her opinion, and she knows that she is on the right path. And she knew that the others will have to understand. She knew that if not today, tomorrow they will understand. That was the kind of personality Ela ji was. I really feel very enamored that I could get opportunity to be close to her for the movements and agitations, for discussions in seminars, in workshops, in public meetings, in those gatherings. Those are very good memories for me, inspiring memories for me. And I really thank the organizers that they remembered me, that I should come and speak some remembrances about Ela ji. So my deep tributes to her. And I know that those who are working in SEWA today, those who carried the legacy further, they will try to emulate continuously what Ela ji was, her personality was, and the confidence she had, and the belief she had in whatever she was doing. So the present leadership will definitely carry it forward, and it will be not only gain for the women's movement and our informal economy vulnerable women, but it will be a gain for the trade union movement in general and the women's movement in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amarjeet ji, for providing such an important political backdrop, right from the colonial times, pre-independence period to till the present. in which ElaBhatt's work and life were situated, and also such an erudite presentation with factual data about the whole trajectory of the women's movement and ElaBhatt's contribution to that. And now I turn to Professor Ghanshyam Shah, who is a political scientist, and he has also known Ela Bhatt for a long time, and he also was like regular visitor of Gujarat Vidyapeeth when Ela Bhatt was the chancellor of the institution. Over to Professor Ghanshyam Shah.
Thank you very much, IMPRI, for inviting me to pay my tribute to Ela Bhatt.
Ghanshyam bhai, please adjust your screen. We are not able to see.
It's okay?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. My relationship with her goes back to more than 4 decades, late 70s. I used to know Ramesh Bhai, who was Professor of Economics and engaged in survey. And Ela Bhatt, since she started SEWA, and by that time I shifted from Delhi to Surat. And there are several personal occasions of exchange of several things. And I'm always impressed by her simplicity and personal care. There are several occasions where we traveled together from Delhi for some work to Ahmedabad, particularly last 2 decades. She saw that her vehicle, and that was the auto rickshaw, see that leaves to my place, and distance from her place and my place was about 4 to 5 kilometers. At least 2-3 times she came to my place and I visited her, and we have an exchange of things. And all of you have a personal good remembrance for her work. So I don't like to repeat that, but I would like to make 1 or 2 things. First, her departure, I feel a loss of a last moralist Gandhian, engaged continuously for social transformation in general and women empowerment in particular. And women empowerment was just not a word for her. She believed a full-time with social security, employment, and autonomy of a woman from the social constraints. So she was aware of the social constraints, and she wanted women of all strata, but particularly the working class women, to have a freedom to take their decisions and also face the odds of the market. And that is a great loss. In the last 2 decades, what I witnessed, and she shared with me, her moral dilemmas and the institutional constraints. Sometimes she wanted, and she was really agitated and agitated herself, feeling suffocated, kind of environment that had developed in the country. Her helplessness, but at the same time, her cause and her hope for women's empowerment continue, and she continuously, despite all her agony and helplessness, she continuously, till the last year, I meet her very briefly. Her continuously, she was concerned about how women of informal sector get empowerment. And she was aware of the constraints of a larger economy. She a couple of times, particularly in last 2 decades, told me that what we will do it, this is often outdone by the larger neoliberal economy. But she has never lost the hope, and continuously, and she encouraged women against all odds of the present crisis. And I think that is a great message that all of us should carry further, that against all odds, we continue. When I remember, and when all you remember, we remember 11 of 1970s when she launched or participated, and she was the leader of a struggle in Ahmedabad, in Manekchowk, of vendor workers. In 76 or 77, I don't remember the name, year, Justice Bhagwati took her personal letter as a PLI for getting for rights of the vendor to get a space, what she calls is a space for a 2 basket, to have the right to do that business. And that struggle continued all along her life. In mid-90s, she inspired to form All India organizations of the vendors, build the pressures on the government, and at last, after struggle for more than 2 decades, in 2014, we got an act for the vendors in the country. But thereafter, she was not very happy with the way in which the act was almost non-implemented. And we all know that after the COVID Pradhan Mantri scheme, and we have the report that when the scheme is not, when the committees have not been formed in more than 3/4 of the towns. So it's almost, it has remained on paper. And she was really upset about these things and asking several times the questions to me and several others, then what is the sense of doing these kind of acts if they are not implemented? And I feel that this Institute of Impact and Policy should take this task and see that this act, at least we should build a pressure on the government and in civil society through studies and through advocacy to see that this act, at least this act is already passed and get implemented in most of the cities, and women vendor workers get at least a small space to do their business. Because we all know that in last 3 decades, the condition of informal workers is getting worse and worse. They are more vulnerable. And in that situation, our best tribute to ElaBhatt is that we re-energize ourselves, put all our efforts to see that at least not completely, but at least part of this, her effort, get fulfilled in reality. And that would be a best tribute to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghanshyam-bhai, for highlighting the importance of research and advocacy, and also sharing the method of functioning of ElaBhatt and her empathy and simplicity, and also why we need to, the need to re-energize ourselves in our endeavor. And now I would like to ask Ms. Nisreen Ebrahim, who was mentored by ElaBhatt, to share her experiences. And she's also continuing in action the same kind of work through, and I have attended several of her functions and several of the programs in the same line as ElaBhatt had envisioned. Over to Nisreen.
Yeah. Thank you, Vibhuti and IMPRI, for having me here. It's a little bit emotional also, because the start of my journey in the sector I owe to SEWA. My first association with SEWA was through my summer internship as a management student, and due to the communal disturbances in the mid-80s in Ahmedabad at that time, my 10-week summer internship ran into, I think, more than 4 months. And so did my bonds with the SEWA sisters, and the work that I got the opportunity to see and experience firsthand. I went back to university, finished my management degree. When I was with SEWA, I was told that you can come back once you finish your education. And that time, like, you know, it seemed quite far-fetched, because maybe as a young management student, you have different dreams. And this I'm talking about the 80s, when crossovers were sort of virtually unheard of. So now our sector has become, I think, more corporatized, and I don't know what we say by way of professionalism. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but the mid-80s were very different. I went to the corporate sector, but I could stick it out only for a few months, because there I felt I was a small cog in a very big machine, not knowing what I was doing, not knowing what my efforts were contributing to. And I said, can I come back? So there I was back in SEWA in 1980, I think early 1987. And so ElaBhatt at that time told me, I remember very clearly, to this day, it's still, that scene is fresh in my mind. Said, so you think you are a management graduate? So here is a list of cooperatives, make them viable. So, and in that list of cooperatives, there were service cooperatives, there were artisan producer cooperatives. It was a whole range. You know, there were like kerosene vendors, vegetable vendors, safai, cleaning service providers, block printers, patch workers, you name it, and it was there. Fish vendors, and that's how I started. And believe you me, I think the learning that it has been is, like Vibhuti ji, I think rightly said, contributes to my work even today, 3 decades later. What do I say for ElaBhatt? I think she was a visionary in a true sense, because the very fact, you know, now we invest a lot of energy as organized NGO leaders in the regulatory framework, in how do we strategize our work, how we position our work. But I think she did it so many decades back. SEWA was registered as a trade union, organizing the unorganized. I think what would be more empowering for women than to give a framework, an institutional framework for organizing the unorganized. And like, you know, it was a mantra for us at SEWA, struggle and development. So unionization was a process of the struggle, and cooperativization was the tool that we had to focus on development and economic empowerment of the women that SEWA could organize together as different trade groups. So that itself, I think, has given a lot of learning. When we talk of model creations, I think we have those multiple models that SEWA has given to the sector, not only to the women's movement, but I would say to the sector in terms of structuring of institutions, in terms of strategies that one can adopt. I think there is a lot of learning in whichever way you want to see it, what this visionary and this leader has given us. So if there were women, and it was at that time found too difficult to mainstream them into the banking system, what solution did ElaBhatt have? SEWA Bank. The bank cannot find systems to absorb you or to bank you where will you take your money? And I remember what we were told. I think some of it was stories and some I experienced myself during my time with SEWA, is that these women took, their money, like these small vendors, self-employed women, daily wage earners. They went to the bank and they showed their small notes. And when there was no this thing, and then they said, okay, we'll have our own bank. And that's how SEWA Bank began. So I think we have so many learnings, so many models. And I think the most important learning is the power of collective. So the power of collective, and one has seen the change that it brings. Because if you have organized Safai Kamgars, so what do you do? As domestic workers, what voice will they have? But then you cooperativized, they're taking contracts with cooperatives, they're taking contracts with academic institutions. I remember when I was working with Saundarya, the Safai Kamgars cooperative, I think it was a high for us that we took a contract for IIM Ahmedabad, where at one location we could place more than 100 women every day. So this is I feel that the power of organizing can do, what the power of the collective can do. If you look at the rag pickers, okay, so picking up rags, breaking your back the whole day, or you have a GR in place where the textile mills give you the right to pick up their chindis. What economies of scale does that achieve? So it is not only about organizing. I think there was a very subtle, very gentle, but like speakers before me have said, very firm and a very sure strategist that Ela was, that if you have to organize so many, to sustain it, you have to have economic development. And I think that is a lesson that has remained with me, that when you talk of women's empowerment, the underlying thread always has to be economic empowerment. And the game changer that it becomes is I think I have experienced it in my time with SEWA, and I have experienced it in my work in more than 3 decades in the sector. Ela as a visionary, I think I've spoken about unionization and cooperativization, and I think then the next step was federating. So when you have cooperatives, then you need again the power of collective to federate them. And I think with that, I think the SEWA has been a game changer in affecting policy in multiple ways. Whether it's getting a GR from the Gujarat government or the municipal corporation, that without tendering, women's cooperatives will get contracts. So you are out of self-employed women, poor women's collectives, they're out of the tendering. So such path-breaking work at a systemic level, which affects and brings change to at a scale. I think that is one lesson that has remained with me, and I'm sure with so many others. Thinking ahead, today we talk of social media, but we had Video SEWA as a cooperative in those times, and self-employed women, whether it was a Leena Ben, the vegetable vendor, holding a huge video camera, and which in a way she became a poster lady for SEWA at that time. I think to think of media and the power of media to convey your messages, like somebody said that she was not after publicity, but I think the lesson that again many like me have learned is that yes, you do have to communicate effectively for your cause to be heard. It may not be about yourself, but I think for your cause to be heard, you need to place your communications as an important place for what you are working for. With self-employed women, we spoke of banking. I think another path-breaking work that has been done has been that of social security. And social security for the self-employed, and childcare, and all the supplementary and complementary services that a self-employed woman needs to be able to function at her optimal best which sometimes the organized sector takes for granted, is, I think, another model that has been created in her leadership at SEWA. I think the first speaker said that she moved out, but I was at SEWA at that time when she had said that I will retire when I'm 60 and I want others to take over and I will be there with you and to guide you should you make mistakes. I think for a leader to say that I'm allowing you to take over, I'm giving you the platform to do your work, and to, if you slip up, I'm there to show you the way. I think hats off to such a leader, and we were fortunate to have worked with a person like her who gave us those platforms to move ahead. And I think that was a strategy which has built SEWA strong institutionally today, that there is a strong leadership, and she has nurtured that second line for over a long period of time. And that is why SEWA will continue to be what it was when she was at the helm so many years back, because she has nurtured the present set of leaders and she has been there for them whenever they needed her. But also I would say that it was a non-interfering presence. She was there when you needed her. What was the leadership? I think SEWA grew tremendously. Sometimes I think maybe beyond what anybody's expectations were. And I think they were growing up pains, which is natural, which is natural when an organization grows to scale. But what one has learned from her leadership is that she was always accessible. We didn't have emails and WhatsApp at that time, but we had a chithi system at SEWA. So, like if anybody had, like what we call in terms of our organograms as dotted lines, I think she exemplified and she personified the dotted line, which went from top to the bottom and bottom to the top. But SEWA is non-hierarchical. SEWA under ElaBhatt was non-hierarchical. I've been out of the organization and seeing it from afar, and I'm sure that the character within and the culture, I'm sure, is the same. So non-hierarchical, but anybody could approach her. So Ben ne chithi mokli. So the chithi has gone to Ben and Ben will reply. So that is the confidence that each of the SEWA sisters had. And I know till a few days back, I have been speaking to a few, when I was last talking to a few SEWA sisters, they said, we told Ben this, we told Ben this. So that dotted line and that, the chithi system was still functional, even in this age of WhatsApp and emails and what have you. So I think that also is a leader, to be so modest, so unassuming, so accessible, which gives you and inspires you that, yes, she is there for me, should I need her. So I think that is a huge comfort for hundreds and thousands of women who are associated with SEWA. Somebody mentioned about ElaBhatt's rickshaw. Yes, Sudama Bhai and the rickshaw. And I think within a short span of my joining SEWA, Ela moved to Delhi because she was nominated to the Rajya Sabha. But whenever we would see the auto parked outside SEWA, there would be a spring in everybody's step that Ben is in office, like Ben aje office mache, because you would see the auto outside there. So that itself speaks a lot of the leader, that either you are in awe, either you are in anxiety that the leader is there, or you're happy and there is a spring in your step, that knowing that the leader is available, is there. And I think that speaks a lot of the leadership. When I last met her, it was about 3 years ago, when she had visited my brothers and me to condole the death of my father, who was her classmate in college. My father studied with Ramesh Bhai and ElaBhatt in Surat in college. And she had said, 3 of you come. I want to tell you all the stories of your father, of our college days. Alas, after that, there was COVID and there are other things, and we have regrets that we never did make the time. But there are so many things that ElaBhatt has taught so many like me. And one of it has been, I think one thing that I still have to learn is to remain calm. Unfortunately, I'm not. And also that don't let your face give away what you're thinking. And I think that is a very, very important character that a leader needs to have, which enables her or him to remain analytical and to be able to think calmly and be a decision maker and to be a guide and to give to uh, to think on your feet, or whatever else one expects out of leaders. So there are so many lessons. There is so many times that we have been inspired. One thing that comes to mind, that we were sitting in a meeting in SEWA and somebody said that this has happened with the AMC. So very calmly she got up and she said, "Chalo jaiye." So just like that, we got up, we all walked down to the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, and it became what would otherwise be called a morcha. So this is what organizing, this is what leadership has meant to me, and these lessons will always be with me for my life. And thank you so much, Vibhuti ji, and thank you so much, the hosts, for giving me this platform to be able to share my I think my foundation of the sector and the lessons that will always remain with me for my life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nisreen Ben, for bringing out the whole insider story of the functioning of SEWA, the democratic and non-hierarchical functioning, and also ElaBhatt as a strategist. I think it's very important to understand that how the organization, which is now more than 17 million members, and we started as a SEWA Ahmedabad, and then became SEWA Gujarat, and SEWA Bharat, and SEWA Asia, and even ILO has recognized it as a most powerful trade union. And I think this whole trajectory you have profiled it so beautifully. Now I asked Dr. Sandeep Chachra, who has also worked as a member of ActionAid and as a decision maker of ActionAid with ElaBhatt in different capacities. So over to Dr. Sandeep Chachra.
First of all, on this somber occasion, thank you, Dr. Vibhuti Patel, for hosting this, for convening this, and also to IMPRI colleagues, Dr. Arjun, Dr. Simi, and others, for actually making this space happen. This is a very important space because ElaBhatt, despite her passage, is an inspiration to many in the world. Let me begin there. She is not just a personal inspiration to a man called Sandeep here, who's on your screens, but she serves as an inspiration to wherever I go, to the women workers when I meet them. They cite SEWA, they cite the example of SEWA, to the struggles of fisherwomen, to the struggles of street vendor women, to the struggles of, as Dr. Nisreen was pointing out just now, to the struggles of those women who, majority of them who are engaged in manual scavenging. Wherever you go, I can go on and on. And this is not only limited to India. Although I am now working with ActionAid India for the last several years, much before this job, I was part of work globally in Africa, in Latin America, and also in other parts of Asia. And wherever you go, there'll be seldom be anybody in the labor sphere or in the women worker sphere, in the cooperative sphere. So endless spheres in the economic sphere, as Dr. Nisreen was speaking about, the possibilities of what economies can do for people, pro people economics. Wherever you go, ElaBhatt and SEWA, conjointly or separately, would always be an inspiration from wherever people were coming from, despite all the language barriers, despite all the barriers of not having, these days much more information is available on the internet. But I'm talking of times in late 90s, early 2000s, when such information was not available, but there will seldom be anybody who would not know ElaBhatt and the work of SEWA globally. Banking, finance, the question on the power of cooperatives, the question of women workers, the question of feminist solidarity, the advances on social security. So you can keep naming and you can keep going on, and the list never ends. I want to submit that I never had this golden opportunity to be, unlike our previous esteemed speaker, Nisreen ji, I never had this fortune to have that close mentoring. I will always regret it. I never had that fortune. But I did have the fortune of being mentored in part by very close friends of ElaBhatt, Devki Jain ji, who guided me and keeps guiding me. And of course, our late and first chair of Action Aid Association, the late Lakshmi Chand Jain ji. They were close friends. So I had the good fortune in another way to be mentored by deep associates, solidarity associates, historical associates in this struggle, particularly Gandhian economics, which L.C. Jain ji represented, and particularly the leadership Dr. L.C. Jain represented. And under that, I had occasions to meet ElaBhatt number of times. The most remarkable memory, if you can call memories are like pictures, photographs, the most remarkable memory I have is of being invited together with Devki Jain ji and myself and other colleagues to be guests at the time when ElaBhatt was receiving the Indira Gandhi Peace Prize at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And needless to say, that was the only occasion where when I have been invited or even gone to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and very beautiful location. And I still remember the humility, the breadth of knowledge, and the simplicity and the accessibility of ElaBhatt at that function. She was at the center stage, and people like us meant nobody to her, right? But it was ElaBhatt who stood tall there, despite her not so tall stature. In terms of physical stature, she was the one who stood tall among all other dignitaries, at least from the vantage point of where I sat. A person who could inspire not just the women workers of SEWA, who could inspire those people who are not really connected with her. So I think that's what I want to submit in memoriam to ElaBhatt. Let me say 2 or 3 other things. Of course, much has been spoken about the millions of members of SEWA. Much has been spoken about the progression she did on social security front, on unleashing the economic power of women, on unleashing the confidence of women. But 3 or 4 inspirations is what we have taken for ourselves for all these years. And I think I owe, as part of my organization, as an individual, as a person working in the arena of social development, I owe an endless debt of gratitude to ElaBhatt and to the work of SEWA. And let me point those 3 or 4, which continue on a daily basis to inspire our work, and I am sure inspire a lot of other social organizations, unions, formations, anywhere. The first of this is the question, what I said, putting at the center stage of our paradigm, of our development paradigm, of our social progress paradigm, the issue of women in work and women workers, and particularly in the context of India, where majority of women are in the informal sector, the women informal sector workers, under the context of falling work participation rates, growing informalization of work, this becomes of crucial importance. So that is what we, for instance, from Action Aid Association, took as a central construct of our support to others, but also of our direct work on the ground, organizing, if not unionizing fully, cooperativizing, federalizing, forming groups of informal women, for example, domestic workers, whether in Bengal or elsewhere, for example, fish worker women, for example, street vendor women. So that we took at the core of our work and efforts, continued efforts as we unravel from the inspirations of ElaBhatt. Remember, and I want to say something else. Remember, and I want to remind us all that where there are many resolutionaries, but ElaBhatt was one among the few. I hope there are more and more ElaBhatts in the world, one among the few who moved from resolution to quiet revolutions on the ground. So ElaBhatt, without parading as a revolutionary, to me, was a real revolutionary on the ground. So how to move from resolutions to revolutions is, somebody wants to study that topic, which ails a lot of social organizations, where we pass resolutions here and there and nothing really happens on the ground. I think for us on the ground, ElaBhatt stands tall in the revolutionary, in the quiet revolutionary that she was. The second of those inspirations, which I think we all must take, is this whole issue of challenging patriarchy in action. Not just challenging patriarchy in the sphere of the home, but challenging patriarchy in every sphere of life. And SEWA, the tall leaders that SEWA women workers are challenging patriarchy on a daily basis in their spheres of work, in their half spheres of work, in their domestic spheres, and in the sphere of world politics. So I think that's a very, very big inspiration for us in our social organization, and I see numerous other social organizations be inspired with that. The question of how do you break the barriers of unequal work? How do you break the barriers that women are confined to? Not just unequal wages, but unequal recognition. The fact of space and decision making, the fact of autonomy, the fact of leadership. And I think that message that ElaBhatt and SEWA passed to all of us is an abiding message for our society and for, I think, all societies, be it in the global south or be it in the global north. And I think there is something that I also want to add. What has been spoken about, so I'll not dwell on it too much. I was listening to a few of the other speakers. The power of what is called solidarity economics at a time when capital is commodifying, when capital is pushing labor down and down, not just in the share of the capital profits, but also in share of value chains. At that point in time, and I think the world is recognizing this more and more. I think this narrative has entered global policy making, national policy making, and that's really the contribution of ElaBhatt. At such a time, what is needed is a tremendous decentralized response of the power of women. And in doing cooperativization, the word is very simple. It sounds like we're coming from history. It's not. It's actually unleashing the power of feminist solidarity in action through this instrument called cooperatives. Needless to say, there are many challenges. Needless to say, today, we have to encounter the challenge of something what's called the producer organizations, which are essentially a market kind of a situation, and one can discuss it elsewhere. But I think ElaBhatt told us how to do it practically, not just practically, how to do it theoretically, and how to sort of push policy making such that that efforts gets more and more recognized. Many of the state missions which we celebrate today, remember the Social Security Act of 2008. Much changes have happened. We still have a Social Security code. I wish ElaBhatt were with us. And I wish she was there at the front leading the struggle, where we don't really know what Social Security is, despite all the e-shram registrations. But the fact remains, the original Informal Worker Social Security Act, I would humbly submit, was a contribution of ElaBhatt in derivation. Similarly, I was talking of, mention was made of street vendors. I think the current PM Vikas Nidhi for street vendors essentially derives from the work of SEWA. I don't know if it acknowledges it formally, but that's where it derives from, the Swanidhi program, for example. And I think the whole Street Vendors Act is also in part an inspiration of SEWA and several other formations who are fighting these. So ElaBhatt leaves a huge legacy of work on the ground, revolutionary work on the ground, which at this point in time in history has more progressions to make. And I think that's the continued direction and inspiration that we have for all of us, because the headwinds of the world, the headwinds today facing us are really not the tailwinds in that direction. So whether it's climate change, so whether it's the resource concentration in the hands of a few, whether it's the kind of industrial model that we are getting into, all these construe the next generation challenges, which I think would do well, very well, to gain inspiration and politics from the essence of what ElaBhatt stood for. That is my humble tribute to the great soul ElaBhatt was, to the great inspiration she gave to me, and to many others like me of a different generation, of a different geography, who never, unfortunately, had the possibility to be mentored by her. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep ji, for a very, very erudite presentation and bringing the question of neoliberalism and solidarity economy, and also the feminist solidarity, importance of that, and how ElaBhatt stood tall in the midst of all such adverse onslaught that we are experiencing after India adopted new economic policy, and how the whole journey from resolution to revolution. I think I liked it very much, that we all need to, because we are coming up with thousands of resolutions, but it doesn't result into revolution, by which ElaBhatt did. Whatever she preached and what she was, once she was convinced about the approach, she always saw to it that she had a successful and it was a result-oriented approach. Thank you very much. Now I would request Mr. Martin Macwan, who is from Ahmedabad, who has worked with ElaBhatt in different capacities, and who is also a very important grassroots worker, and as well as a public intellectual. Over to Martin Bhai.
Thank you, Dr. Vibhuti Patel, for inviting me. I was born in 1959, the same age where ElaBhatt's son, Mihir, was born. So she was like a mother to me. And but I think from whatever interaction I have had with her is that her simplicity was her power. She was a very, very simple person. And she took positions. She was a Gandhian, but that she was not Gandhi Bhatt. And when Ghanshyam Shah was doing this book, revisiting Hind Swaraj, and she was also one of the contributors, where I too was one. And she said, she did a critique of Gandhi that, Bapu has forgotten women in his entire writing. So she could, in her simple way, with a smile, offer the biggest criticism. As a child, I can remember that there were two persons before I met ElaBhatt. My mother was a tobacco worker, and I grew into that area which is called Cherotar in Kheda district, the richest area of Gujarat. And there was a person called Mr. Zaveri, Andy Zaveri, who had tried to organize the tobacco workers. He was personally attacked. He was thrown acid on his face. He was burnt badly. He used to visit my house again and again. His wife and my mother were co-workers. There was another person called Mr. Joseph Macwan, one of the very profound writer. And he had done a series of essays on the exploitation that the tobacco women workers face. And it is these writings that became the basis for SEWA to organize the tobacco workers in a big way. But ElaBhatt cared for, I think, if I remember correctly, the three categories of women which nobody ever spoke about. Tobacco workers, the vendors, and the scavenger women. So, the Shrama Shakti report also mentions about the living conditions of these scavenger women. So these are the women nobody spoke about. And I think way back in 72, it was a revolutionary idea to organize women, right? And of course, with the demise of ElaBhatt, there was a beeline, including the highest office bearers of India, offering condolences, but they were not friendly with SEWA. They were not appreciative with the work that SEWA did. Lastly, I would maybe two more points, and very few people took a position during the 1981 riots. I think you mentioned in your first remark that both Ramesh Bhai and ElaBhatt took a position and their house was attacked. They were stoned. When my house was set on fire during the anti-Christian riots in Gujarat, she was the first person and the only person who wrote me a personal letter with her own handwriting, saying these things happen and don't worry. So she, as a person, she kept eye on everything. She took care of you as a person. Lastly, we all speak about the Gujarat model nowadays. Ela Bhatt, without speaking much, she showed to the world the other side of Gujarat, what the marginalized and the exploited workforce face, and they are definitely not part of the Gujarat model. Without a clear political articulation, she organized women across caste and religion, and that, I think, was her biggest strength. We can go on. A lot of people have started microcredit, activities, but very few models with such a high rate of repayments, because the strength comes from the commitment of the women to the ideology, and which he was able to inculcate among the masses. I think I would just stop there. And, thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you, Martin Bhai. I think your experience also of the riots, 81 riots, and even mine was a bit earlier in 1969, when newly formed Dalit Panther organizations, youth invited me, because I come from Charotar's Patidar community, because had they helped the Muslim refugees, they would have faced backlash. So I was invited in Ahmedabad, and they told me that this is the only one lady from TLA who is standing by these women headed households, mostly in those middle class colonies as well as working class colonies. There were only women, elderly, and children. And Ela Bhatt not only did relief work, but she also showed them the way of rebuilding their devastated life. So I think, very, very important dimension of Ela Bhatt you have brought in. Now I request Parul Ben, who works with for abolition of child labor in a very difficult area of ship breaking yard. I invite her to pay her tribute to Ela Bhatt. Parul Ben, Shade. She is in the participants lead. Dr. Arjun Kumar, please give her access.
Yes, ma'am, we have given, but
her name is among participants, not among the panelists.
Yes.
She has joined. Parul Ben, are you there? Please unmute yourself. Hello.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, Parul Ben. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for giving me the access, and thank you so much for inviting me on this panel.
Yeah,
Vibhuti
you can
Ben,
also
really
switch on your video so that we can see you. Yeah.
Yes, but I.
Okay, please go ahead.
Can you Can you see?
No, we can't see you. But go ahead. Please go ahead. We can clearly hear you.
I think now maybe you can see me.
Yes,
I'm not sure.
Yes. We
okay.
can see. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I really appreciate for inviting me on this panel. Ela Bhatt is my role model in this sector. Whatever I am today, whatever I have been able to do, is that I always look up to her whenever I have any question. I just want to share my story as a child. I remember I was in 9th grade, and first time I learned economics as a subject. And there was a lesson where it was mentioned that, women's work, beggars' work, and the thieves' work have no value. And I was so stunned and shocked to read that line. And I asked my teacher that I can understand about a beggar or a thief, but how can women's work have no value and it is at the par and the same level like beggar or a thief? And teacher said, that's the rule. Okay, that's economics. You don't ask questions. And I didn't know. I was, as a child, I was totally like I didn't know what to say, but I didn't have question. But I, after decades, when I understood this dynamics and the patriarchy and everything about it, I realized the importance of the contribution that ElaBhatt has made by recognizing the woman's work, especially the how, like, homemaker. She gave that such a respectful word, and for the first time in the census, the woman's work was recognized. And that is something that, I say that, like how, what the power of, or a woman power that can change the whole theory. So that was something that really admire. That is, then it was like my direct association was not with her for a long time, even though I visited SEWA and I learned about the work and I read her books. It was not direct association. But when we were in 2003, when we were planning to launch our first children collective of Gujarat, we wanted her to come. And where SEWA with millions of people, women on the union, and we were like about such a small grassroots organization, having about 200-300 children on the collective. So it was like, but like, we like children, we were stubborn and we said, ElaBhatt, you have to come. And she said, no, I don't have time, I can't go and all that. I said, you went to UN to sign UNCRC on our behalf. And now we are implementing that UNCRC. You are the one who organized so many women. And for the first time, we are making attempts to organize children. And you have to come and you have to give your blessings to us. And, she listened to us. I remember it was like I was not even 40 at that time. And she listened to young people like us. And she said, okay, I will come. And she came and she stayed with us. And I still remember what she said. She said, if you want to bring social change, sustainable social change, we'll have to work with women and children. And I'm so happy that I've been able to do work with women, but I have regret that I've not been able to do as much as I wish with children. But I'm so glad that you all are doing it. Young people like you are doing this. So it was so nice to, hear that. And that gives us so much of power, especially because she was very happy that we were able to bring children from very diverse background together. So that was, I think, very special that we were able to, she could appreciate it. And because of that, whenever we had any doubts or when we would turn to her and ask her. And she was always, since then, always, available to us, accessible. Whenever we had any questions, I remember, like, if there are any frustrating experience when I see at a global level, larger level, national level, I would call her and say, ElaBhatt, what is happening? What to do? And she would listen to me and she would give some words of wisdom. And that gives me a lot of strength and come out of the depression of like, why is it happening like this? So I think the kind of connection that she could make to individually to small organization and grassroots people like us. So it was, and so nicely, so simple and humble. What Martin Bhai say, uh, also like I remember that when there was this march from Gujarat Vidyapeeth to Sabarmati, and it was like a afternoon, hot afternoon, and all, including me, said, ElaBhatt, you can sit in the auto car, don't walk in this. No, I have to walk. And she walked all the way. And that gives us so much, like, motivation, so much like leadership the role model as a leader, what one has to do, that is something. And I remember that when we started our new work in Narmada district, and it was started and led by the children who were part of Bal Sena. So I took them and I said, Ela-Ben, see your blessing. Because of that, these Bal Sena girls are now going to lead the project. And she listened to them quietly. Okay, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? And like these girls who are 22-year, 23-year-old, she listened to her quietly, nicely. And the first thing that when we stepped out of the house, those girls said, first time we are meeting someone who is so big, but who is listening to us rather than giving us advice of doing this and that. So, like so much patience that she had. She was not only, I mean, people always remember her as a woman, for as a feminist and for women empowerment, but she has done so much of work even for children. She was our patron and national advisor for campaign against child labor. And she was also like given look on a jury for public hearing related child labor, for girl child labor, and so many. So she is not only for, I mean, of course, women power, there is no way. But what I want to emphasize is that there are a lot of other areas that she is covered. And the excellent documentation, like, all the books that she has written, it's so impactful because it came directly from her experiences, be it Anubandh or, and Lari Youth, which is not so famous, but it is a best docu-novel kind of a document which can be, I use it a lot to do a training on collective. It's such a powerful piece. So, like, she encompasses to so multiple, arena that I feel so much vacuum that whenever I had any problem, I used to think that, okay, I will check with Ela-Ben what to do. She will guide me and I can blindly kind of follow her. But I feel so much vacuum now. I don't know who will I go and ask this. Ela-Ben, this is the question I have, and who do I go? So I feel really very, very, she is like a role model, like a mother figure. And I don't know how can I ever, that this vacuum can be filled, I miss her so much. But through her work and through her life, what Gandhiji mentioned is that my life is my message. Same is applicable to Ela-Ben. Her life is a message. And that is what is her power. What her simplicity, her beautiful smile. She could not participate in our 25-year Silver Jubilee program, but she wrote a very beautiful letter on her with her own handwriting. That is a treasure for us. These are the simple, beautiful things, that gesture that has, that has created a big space in our heart. That, and what learning that we get from her experiences is so much powerful that is going to lead our way. So, I mean, I don't know, her loss in the sector is irreplaceable, and I don't know whether when we can ever have any other Ela-Ben. But what she has done is so much path breaking that I mean, I'm struggling to find the right word for it. But Ela-Ben, we will so much miss you. I mean, you are so great.
Thank you, Parul-Ben, for such a beautiful tribute and highlighting two less visible areas of Ela-Ben's contribution, especially her writings. And here I would like to mention how she started Ansuya, a newsletter of SEWA, which has been continued for past 50 years. And this is the golden jubilee year of SEWA. And so many vignettes and stories are there in this year's every month, the issue that comes out both in Hindi as well as in Gujarati, and she named it in honor of her mentor Ansuya Ben Sarabhai. Now, our last speaker today is Dr. Roshan Ara. Unfortunately, there is no electricity or network in Meghalaya. So both Dr. Hasina Kharbhih as well as Rama Ramaswamy, who work with the women's market, you must be knowing that Meghalaya is no very important role that women self-employed workers are playing. We will miss their sharing, but Roshan Ara, who is equally important work that she has been doing, both in the area of women's studies and women's enterprise development of the women handicraft workers in Kashmir, will share her experiences. Over to Dr. Roshan Ara.
Thanks a lot, madam, for inviting me to the session. A very good evening to one and all. It is indeed my proud privilege and honor to be a part of this session, which has been organized in the honor of late Ela Bhatt, our beloved leader, a visionary figure, and to remember her and pay homage to the departed soul. I pray to Almighty Allah that may her soul rest in peace. I would like to compile the overall her contribution in one few stanzas of the famous poetry of Dr. Allama Iqbal. बहुत सालों से नरगिस अपनी बेजारी पे रोती है, बहुत सालों से नरगिस अपनी बेजारी पर रोती है, बड़ी मुश्किल से होता है चमन में दीदावर पैदा. I will translate it. It means that Nargis, a famous flower, has been weeping along for her helplessness. And she is also waiting that it would still take a long time, centuries together, that a person, a visionary, will just take birth in this garden again, that will give me a helping hand or extend her help to me. I think this is a clear message that sums up the contribution of Ela Bhatt. When we look upon the contribution and the work, first of all, let us go through her early life. Ela Bhatt was born on September 1933 at Ahmedabad, Gujarat. She did her schooling from Surat, Gujarat, and since she was a resident of Surat, and this city was the city of textile industry, and the plight of the informal workers, the workers of this industry, that was quite obvious to her, and she was observing the situation, the overall daily struggle of these workers, and this attracted her attention from even her school days. Ela Bhatt graduated from the University of Gujarat. She did her law, and she the very important component of her life that has motivated her, that has influenced her, is that she belonged to the family of freedom fighters. Her grandfather had walked shoulder to shoulder in Dandi March with Gandhiji, and she was highly influenced and motivated by the ideology of Gandhi. She imbibed, she adopted the Gandhian model. She was Gandhian at heart and Gandhian in her work, and she proved her throughout all her life. Ela Bhatt, after
Roshanji, can you see how your work, can you just tell about your work and how it got inspired?
Yes, yes.
What connect did it have with Ela Bhatt's work?
Yeah. I am coming to that. Should I just close my video? I will be quick.
No, it's okay.
Okay, ma'am. I will be coming to our work. And when we talk about the economic empowerment models throughout the world, we find Ela, what she means to Indian women, and she means same for the whole world. And I can compare Ela to Professor Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh, a famous economist of this Asian continent, who followed the model, who adopted the model for a model of microfinance for the women who were marginalized and the poor. Ela Bhatt formed SEWA in 1972 and became its general secretary. She served as general secretary of SEWA till 1996. Inspired by Gandhiji, and she to organize these women workers. And we see that her contribution and her leadership, under her dynamic leadership, this SEWA could expand up to millions of workers. And today we see that it has a membership of 17 million members. Ela served not only as a social worker, but equally, she has been a wife, she has been a mother, she has been a grandmother, a mother-in-law. And what goes to her credit and what motivates us to do the same, she has been a political leader as well, she has been an intellectual as well, and she has received many honorary doctorates from many universities like University of Yale, University of Harvard, University of Patel, etc., and other academic institutions. In the honor of her great contribution and selfless service, she has served as a member of, she has been honored many awards. She has been awarded.
Roshanji, please speak about your work, no? What you have been doing in Kashmir.
Yes,
A similar work, because we
yes,
don't have much time. You have 2 minutes to,
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, when I actually want to say that if we talk about a leader like her, I wish that the same model can be adopted in Kashmir for the marginalized women. I often see women who are working in the informal sector in like other parts of the country as well. We see that there is a large chunk of women workers who are working in the informal sector. And there have been many instances when I find women protesting on the roads for this thing, whether they are the women from this, they are ASHA workers, or they are the women from this ICDS, or they are the women from this domestic sector. But every time I see that we need to form a collective platform like this so that their voice can be heard and we can address their issues. When we see women who are working in Kashmir, especially women entrepreneurs, they are facing the constraints like other women of the country. And our women, the biggest constraint of this women folk from the informal sector, they are handicapped at many stages, at many instances. I can quote, for example, if they produce the product, they are not getting the market. If they have to travel to other parts of the country, they are not getting such a social sanction that you are allowed to travel free or you can go alone, because they have to travel in the train, they have to travel by road, and it becomes a hindrance for them. Again, when our self-employed women, they usually they are caught up in few these areas of production only, like they are doing the handicraft, they are doing this bag work, they are doing this masala, they are doing other things. But I wish and I am hopeful that we will succeed in this mission, that I could do and we could do together, that our women who are energetic, who are now coming forward, they are professionally trained women, and I think and I am hopeful that they can be connected to the women of this country, SEWA, and then to the outside world. And women entrepreneurs, we know that they cannot only make themselves independent, but they can contribute, and they are contributing to the economy of the nation as well. And I am hopeful that since we don't have any Ela Bhatt in Kashmir, but I am hopeful that today, remembering her and paying her rich tribute will be that we should follow her footsteps, and her message and her work, her contribution will be reflected in our work as well. And following her footsteps will sure help us to overcome the constraints that we continuously face. And I hope that this platform will also be our support, extend their helping hand to the women of Kashmir. And we know that universities or the academic institutions and the training centers, they all need to come together to form such a group like SEWA, so in and doing a real seva in the real sense for the upliftment of women, especially from the marginalized section of the society.
Thank you, Dr. Roshanara. Now we have Jyoti Mapsekar, who has developed a very equally important project in Gujarat, in Mumbai, Parisar Vikas, and she also was closely associated with. In fact, the Parisar Vikas project was inaugurated by ElaBhatt. Jyoti, can you unmute yourself and speak? Jyoti, please switch on your video. Yeah. I wish you could have been. Yeah, she should have been on this panel also. Jyoti, please go ahead. Hello. Are you there? Jyoti, please unmute yourself. Jyoti Mapsekar, are you there? Hello.
She is not active, ma'am.
Okay. So can I conclude now?
Yes, ma'am. We have one hand raised by Tara Sinha ji.
Okay. Yeah. So please.
Tara ji, if you want to add anything.
Tara Sinha ji. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead, Tara ji.
I think
it's not working.
Is it by mistake? I think the hand is raised. Should I conclude?
Yes, ma'am.
One humble request, ma'am.
Yeah.
One humble request. I would like to just add and have your attention towards this issue, that it is not today also when more and more women are joining the workforce. And today, even in this modern era, we see that not women in the informal sector are suffering, but still women in the formal sector are also equally suffering. There is lack of unionization, and forming of women's unions is still being seen. Forming of women's unions is still seen as a shame or uncommon or irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to have the attention of the panelists as well, that what can be done. Still women are suffering.
Organizing, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
Very important.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
For that, the gender responsiveness of the mainstream unions is also equally important issue. And now I would like to conclude. I think we had a very, very important issues that came up, and sharing by our panelists and parties. They have made this day full of nostalgia about ElaBhatt's unique contribution. The major highlights of the tribute has shown that ElaBhatt was a secular humanist who stood by Dalit, Adivasis, religious minorities. She made path-breaking contribution by formation of self-employed Women's Association as a women's trade union, Friends of Women's Rights, and Women's Studies movement, and she was also a heart and soul of Shram Shakti report. Under her leadership, SEWA played pivotal role in enactment of several labor legislations, and also in 2007, when ElaBhatt joined the group of elders, Dr. Nelson Mandela, Graca Machel, Desmond Tutu, Dr. Desmond Tutu. She also took up the issue of child rights, especially fight against child labor and child marriages. And she also led the delegation to Bihar. I think the first speaker shared that experience of going to Bihar and accompanying her. So what we see is that, and as a Chancellor of Gujarat Vidyapeeth Ahmedabad during 2015 to 2022, ElaBhatt firmly adhered to Gandhian principles of non-sectarian and pluralist approach in governance. And ElaBhatt, as a true Gandhian, followed the principles of simplicity, dignity of sweat labor, decentralization, economic self-sufficiency, cooperation, equality, non-violence, peacemaking, peacekeeping, peace building, and actions guided by human values of ethics and justice, social solidarity, and empowerment of village production units, and sustainable future by living in harmony with nature. She considered poverty and hunger as a structural and systemic violence. Her inspiring values and beliefs conveyed in this statement, and I quote ElaBhatt, let diversity be maintained, grown, and flourished. Think correlatedly, creatively, and respond with empathy and social solidarity when you are faced with challenges in life. ElaBhatt is a product of women's freedom movement, and she also, anytime she faced difficulty, she remembered Ekla Chalo Re by Rabindranath Tagore, and she also was never deterred, like she never got unnerved whenever she faced violent attacks on her or verbal attacks on her. SEWA cooperatives, and by launching SEWA cooperatives and SEWA insurance program, she consulted SEWA members, any new project that was launched by SEWA. Currently, SEWA Bharat has 21 lakh members in 18 states of India, and the luminaries such as Renana Jhabwala, Mirai Chatterjee, who dedicated their whole life to the mission of SEWA and ElaBhatt's dream of empowerment of unorganized and informal sector workers. ILO has also recognized SEWA as a trade union. During the lockdown in 2021, it was such a moral boost to find on a Zoom platform of Citizens Forum conducted by Bharti Sinha Sahai of Ahmedabad. When I made presentation on gender responsive budget, ElaBhatt was present from the very beginning till the end, and even after the recording stopped, she gave me so many encouraging guidance, and also admired the work that feminist economists have been doing. We wanted ElaBhatt to address the Indian Association of Women's Studies coming conference, but now we'll have to satisfy ourselves with her inspiring memories as we recollected today. Dear ElaBhatt, we promise to continue your legacy of making dedicated efforts of social security, social protection, and unorganized sector workers, and will amplify their voices. Our heartfelt condolences to ElaBhatt's daughter, Amyaben, and son, Mihirbai, and their family members, her colleagues, and millions of members of SEWA. I would like to end this in memoriam with beautiful verses of Mariana Williamson that was often recited by Dr. Nelson Mandela. And this is the most appropriate verses that we can think of about ElaBhatt. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be so brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. As children too, we are born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. Dear ElaBhatt, your presence had a liberating influence over all those whose lives you touch. Rest in power, ElaBhatt. We promise to follow in your footsteps wherever we are, whichever location we are. Thank you very much to all the participants who have stayed on for this 2-hour-long memorial meeting of ElaBhatt. Over to IMPRI team, Anchal.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, participants. As we come to the end of the condolence meeting in memoriam remembering Ela Bhatt, a pioneer in amplifying the voices of women engaged in self-employed and the unorganized sector, I, Anshul, researcher at IMPRI, would like to formally propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the IMPRI Gender Impact Studies Center and IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, New Delhi. We would like to express our gratitude to Professor Vibhuti Patel for chairing today's session and our panelists, Dr. Hasina Kharbhih, Ms. Nisreen Ebrahim, Mr. Martin Macwan, Professor Ghanshyam Shah, Dr. Rama Ramaswamy, Ms. Parul Sheth, Dr. Roshan Ara, Mr. Sandeep Chachra, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, and Ms. Amarjeet Kaur for taking out their precious time and enlightening this deliberation. And of course, we thank our audience here on Zoom or on Facebook Live for attending and participating in the session. We are grateful if you are watching us later on YouTube or listening our podcast or reading our publications. I hope that you continue to tune in future to our IMPRI Web Policy Talk. Thank you once again, and I wish you all a very good evening.